bragging rights were up for grabs in Brookings as the Coyotes clash with arch rival South Dakota State. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elsen, and this is Coyote Corner. Well, the 2014 season hasn't gone as planned, but a season-ending win over SDSU would temper at least some of the frustration, especially if it happened to spoil the Jackrabbits' hopes for a spot in the FCS playoffs. That was the scenario Saturday as the two sides crossed paths at Coughlin Alumni Stadium. USD looking for its first win in the series since 2000, but like they did the last time the two teams met in Brookings, the Jacks jumped on the Yotes early. First quarter, SDSU already up 7. Austin Sumner threads the needle to Jason Schneider. 28-yard scoring strike gives the Jacks an early 14-0 lead. And they weren't done. Next possession, Sumner again, this time to redshirt freshman phenom Jake Wenicky. That's his 15th touchdown of the season. Wenicky finished with 6 catches for 177 yards. Coyotes look to get on the board a few minutes later, but Miles Bergner's 25-yard attempt is ruled wide right. Have another look. Questionable to say the least. That snapped Bergner's streak of 18 consecutive makes. USD moved it again on its next possession. Corey Kilgore finds some room. 22 yards to the SDSU 2, and it's first and goal. Coyotes would get 4 cracks at it from there, but would be unable to punch it in, and they go to the half trailing 31-0. Fast forward to the fourth. USD still fighting. Kevin Earl hooks up with Riley Donovan. 34 yards to the SDSU 26. 4 plays later, Earl finds Eric Shuford, and Munchie gets the Yotes on the board with his 3rd touchdown in as many weeks. Next possession, USD goes to the ground. Look out for Drew Potter. The big man rumbles 53 yards for USD's longest running play of the season. He finished with 103 on just 8 carries. That led to this. Ryan Sager to Josh Hale, 10 yards for his first career touchdown. That made it 37-14, and that would be your final. Coyotes dropped their 6th straight to South Dakota State. Austin Sumner was a huge part of it, throwing for a career-high 395 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, while it was certainly a disappointing season for USD, the Yotes are confident that brighter days lie ahead.
It's going to help having guys come back on offense. Guys I'm throwing to, all the receivers. Mine's Josh, and just guys getting more experience and getting bigger and stronger. There's players on the offensive line that weren't expecting to probably play this year, and they all were getting quality experience, and that's something you can definitely build on, and definitely brings them confidence. So it's what we got to work for next year.
It's not like every game we were getting just rolled. We were in games. We were in them in the fourth quarter. So definitely seeing that progress is great. We just gotta keep fighting. We gotta keep working. Off season starts tomorrow, and that's where championships are won. So we gotta start tomorrow.
Improvement is the name of the game as the Coyotes head into the offseason. We'll get some thoughts on 2014 and the future from head coach Joe Glenn when we come back.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Billionato.com.
And welcome back to Coyote Corner. Jay Elsen out at the Dakota Dome with head coach, the University of South Dakota Coyotes, Joe Glenn. And Joe, season comes to an end on Saturday with a 37-14 loss at South Dakota State. The Jackrabbit offense in that game got things rolling early on you, and they just kept it going for that entire first half.
We could not find it. They took off, and away they went. I credit their quarterback, their receivers, making perfect throws. They didn't need to. They were open anyway. But no, I get Austin Sumner, a terrific quarterback, and Schneider, he's what he's billed. They all got into it, and before some people got sat down on a pillow, this thing was off the track.
Well, after that slow start, your offense got things going a bit in the second quarter, got it into the red zone on consecutive possessions, but came up empty both times, and that kind of was one of the themes of the season for you, just struggling to finish those drives.
Yeah, we got to finish. Later on in the game, we can talk about a guy that might have brought a spark to us. Drew Potter, a 250-pound bruising fullback who blocks and catches the ball out of the backfield. he was all we had left, and he started carrying the ball, and he ran like a man. He went, I think, 103.
Yep.
He's got to be a short yardage back we look at, and but you can't get down 21-0 in the first quarter on a good football team like South Dakota State, and it really took the air out of us.
Now, one of those scoring chances, we got to bring this up because it was somewhat controversial, was a 25-yard field goal attempt by Miles Bergner. It was ruled wide right. Now, I was standing directly behind the back judge and saw it a little bit differently. Looked to me like he got it inside that right upright. How did you see it?
People were watching the game on TV, and they saw the ball go between the uprights. So those guys got to get it right. That's all there is to it. Make the right call. That hurt us because not only we needed to get on the scoreboard, but Miles had a streak going in the nation, and those guys just got to make the call.
When I talked to you coming out of the half, obviously the score was not where you wanted it to be on Saturday. You said you just wanted to see your team keep playing hard and try and win the second half. Well, you mentioned Drew Potter and what he accomplished. He was certainly a guy that took that to heart. Is that something, that kind of effort, that was an example of the effort that this team showed, the fight that this team showed, even when things weren't going right this season? That seems to be something that you can build off going forward.
Well, thanks. We never quit, and that was, at halftime it was 31-0. And what do you say? Don't let them shovel it in on you, man. Come on, fight. And if you're proud and you carry some pride with you in your red and in your program and your university, you'll come out and fight the second half. And we did, and we weren't able to make a game out of it. It was just too far away, but we held their number ones, I think, in the third quarter fairly well, and maybe we didn't get the same play from them that we got in the first half, of course, but and then we did drive the ball a couple times in the fourth quarter. I don't think they had their first team in at that time, but still, the kids were playing hard, trying to make plays, trying to get in the end zone, and we did a couple times, and I give them credit for at least fighting to the end.
Okay, again, the season comes to an end with that loss, but the offseason, never really stops from this point forward. It's underway, and for the coaching staff, that, of course, means a lot of evaluation as of now. Are there some areas where you've targeted as areas for significant need for improvement?
I think right across the board, you try and you fill your team in unless you have something crucial like a quarterback position that's open, that's not working. But we've got quarterbacks that can play. We've got receivers coming back. We got pretty much guys coming back at every position that can play. I'm a little bit worried about the secondary. We've got to get something else going in the secondary right now, whether it's scheme, whether it's talent, or both. People just get going on us and click too fast, and we need to look at our scheme there a little bit, and we'll do that in the offseason.
Finally, from your perspective, what's the biggest difference between this program and the five from the Valley that made the playoffs this year?
Well, I think just all around talent on the field, all around experience on the field. We didn't have the experience down the stretch that we needed, but we're young in a lot of positions. When we had 12 guys that were playing that are gone, all our tailbacks were done except one. And our offensive line, we missed 3 guys, counting a tight end, that weren't playing, and so we're playing with some younger guys. The plus side of that is younger guys are getting experience for the future. But, we had some starters go down, and we weren't playing with the team we had at one time during the season.
All right, well, thanks a lot for all your time this season,
Thanks,
Joe.
Jay.
Obviously, enjoy working with you and look forward to another season
too.
next year. Before we close the book on another season of Coyote football, I want to take one last look at some of 2014's standout storylines. We'll cover those with Midco SN analyst Andre Fields next.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by BillionAuto.com.
And welcome back. Well, it's time for a little Fields Vision. Midco SN analyst Andre Fields here to help us sift through the storylines of the Coyotes' 2014 season. And Andre, injuries were far and away the most common theme of this season. They started week 1 with Kevin Earl and just kept on coming. Seemed like this team couldn't get through a game without losing someone. Every team deals with this type of thing, but I'm not sure I've seen anything quite like this.
No, I know I haven't seen anything like it, Jay. I mean, it was almost as if the team was literally snake bitten with these injuries. They started every week happening to somebody of significance, and it even started in the preseason with some of the D linemen who were end up injured. I mean, it just took its toll on the team. as the year wore along, you started seeing 4th and 5th string guys. And so, yes, it was kind of a bad thing, but in some ways maybe even a positive thing. But nonetheless, it was a strange thing.
It was. Let's take a look at some of the position groups that dealt with this. You mentioned the D-line. You got to look at running back because we came into this season thinking that was the deepest position on this team, maybe the most talented from top to bottom on the depth chart. And I don't think you'd find much argument with that. But again, just like last year, that's the one position as the season wore on where it got thinner and thinner. Trevor Bama goes down with a broken arm. Jordan Roberts has the hand-wrist issue. Jasper Sanders has the toe issue. Corey Kilgore got to start the final 2 games. He got hurt in the state game. They ended up using Drew Potter, which, as you mentioned, maybe that is a blessing in disguise in some ways. But just that group alone really kind of says it all for the way this season went from that standpoint.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you mentioned it. At the beginning of the season, we all thought, hey, last year was probably some games that we could have won had we had healthy backs. 4 of them come into the season with experience, 4 of them looking to be big-time playmakers, and all 4 end up hurt at some point during the season. Crazy.
Yeah, and you go to the offensive line as well. They ended up with just 2 original starters on the offensive line for that final game of the regular season. You just got to find ways to keep guys healthy, maybe even get a little luck going into next year, even the offseason for that matter, for USD. Well, it should be noted, though, that the players, the coaches, they never use that injury situation as any kind of a crutch or excuse, so they definitely deserve a lot of credit for that. Now, because of those injuries, like you mentioned, the Coyotes did get used to saying that next man up phrase a lot, and that leads us to what could be a bit of a silver lining, and that is a lot of these young guys that got in there, got some reps, and you can't replicate that in any kind of a practice situation. So that experience is going to prove invaluable for these young guys as they head into the offseason now.
Yeah, because you can only get experience in 2 ways. You can sit on the bench and learn, or you can get out and take your lumps and bruises and learn from that. And that's what I think is going to happen with a lot of these Coyotes that got some playing time. They're going to be able to use that experience in the offseason, know where their weaknesses are, and then be able to build on those weaknesses and maybe come back next year and really put it together. So, Jay, yes, it was a blessing, although it was negative when it happened.
And it hurts you in where everybody measures you in the win-loss column, certainly. But at the same time, for the program, the good of the program going forward certainly could end up being a very good thing as the Coyotes progress. Well, injuries weren't the only thing that hampered USD this season. The Coyotes also struggled to finish drives and finish games. And there were some flashes. They just couldn't seem to find that coveted 60-minute formula, Andre. And that was on any kind of a consistent basis.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because that was the same thing that happened last season, is that the Coyotes could not finish. There were so many games where they had chances to win going into the 4th quarter, going into the last minute, and they just could not put a drive together, get a first down, make a big play, make a stop to get the victory. And we thought, hey, they're going to focus on this in the offseason and get that turned around, but yet we saw the same thing happen this year. It's something that they're going to have to figure out a way to kind of address and see if they can get some of those things happening late in games to get on the other side of the win-loss column.
But the question is, how do you fix it? Is there a blueprint for that kind of thing?
There really isn't. I mean, you can go into practice and put an extra 5 minutes on the clock and say, hey, let's really buckle down and see if we can, build up some energy to finish that 4th quarter. You can put a stress on it in the offseason workout conditioning program, but really what it comes down to is the confidence of the players. And they're going to have to be able to win some of those late games and prove it to themselves and then build on that.
All right. Well, finally, from an individual standpoint, there were a handful of guys that really emerged this season. Offensively, I think you can look at guys like tight end Aaron Ramsey, wide receiver Eric Schuford. On the defensive side, John Wessel had a great year at linebacker. And Miles Bergner was about as dependable as they come in the kicking game. The point is, the cupboard is far from bare, Andre. The Coyotes have some guys here that they can build around.
Yeah, and I get that question all the time, Jay. Is it talent or what is it? What's the difference? There's talent there. These guys are preseason All-MVC players. These guys come out on the field and perform. Bergner is one of the best kickers in the country. So they have the talent there. It's just a matter of getting them to gel, getting them to believe, keeping them healthy, and then putting that all together for a full season.
And the trick, I think, going forward, too, as they continue to build, is finding the right balance from junior college talent to freshmen. That's something that every coaching staff wrestles with.
Yeah, because you got to have the JUCO guys if you want to get some things going right away, plug some spots right away, but then you also have to build from the ground up and keep that funnel full. They have the talent in there right now. They just got to get it to start producing fruit.
Yeah, well, and I think that's it. I mean, there is talent there. You go look at this team, you watch them practice compared to what you saw when you were down there a couple of years ago. There's an obvious difference in the makeup of these guys physically and just in general as football players.
Yeah, and you know what? They've been in the games, and like we said, they just haven't been able to finish them. So it's not like they can't compete with the athletes in the Missouri Valley Conference. They have the talent to do that. It's just a matter of actually getting it done as a team each weekend.
Got the athletes, just need a few more of them as they move forward. All right, well, thanks again for your time all season long, Andre. Look forward to having you back next fall. All right, well, the USD volleyball team was chasing a championship over the weekend. We'll recap the Coyotes' run at the Summit League tournament right after this.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by BillionAuto.com.
And welcome back. Well, after just missing out on a share of its first regular season Summit League title, the USD volleyball team quickly zeroed in on its second championship opportunity. Friday, the third-seeded Coyotes opened tournament play in Indianapolis against Fort Wayne. USD looking for a third win over the Dons after sweeping the regular season series. First team All-Summit selection, Sydney Dimke did her part, the block followed by one of her 15 kills. Fellow All-League honoree Kendall Crittenbrink, even more lethal, drops the hammer not once, but twice. She had a team-high 26 kills on 47 attacks. Fort Wayne has an ace of its own. Emily Spencer countered Crittenbrink with 19 of her own and helped the Dons extend the match with a win in Game 3. But the Coyotes not going to be denied. They battle back to take Game 4, 25-19, securing a spot in the Summit League semifinals.
You expected to have to compete for every point, and winning in 3 in the conference tournament is hard to do. So, coming back in that fourth set, they knew that they just had to kind of continue to play our game, and just, a few more points here and there was going to make the difference. And I thought they held their composure really well. They never backed off. They continued to be aggressive, and that was a huge key for us.
That set up a showdown with top-seeded IUPUI, the same team that spoiled the Yote's hopes for a share of the regular season title. Jags started strong on the right arm of Meredith Barkus. She finds the floor for 2 of her 12 kills on the night. IUPUI takes game 1, 25-15. Coyotes try to battle back in the second. Kelsey Biltoff with the stuff, followed by a kill from Audrey Rieg, but it wouldn't be enough. This day belonged to the Jags. They go on to sweep the Coyotes 3-0. USD ending the season with a record of 19-12. But there is no shame in what was certainly one of the most memorable seasons in USD volleyball history. 12 of those 19 wins came against Summit League opponents, which is a program record. USD also recorded some big non-conference victories against Arkansas, Colorado, and Creighton. As a result, the Coyotes received a lot of attention in terms of postseason accolades. Kendall Crittenbrink was named to the Summit League's all-tournament team for a second consecutive year after recording 41 points in USD's 2 matches. The Coyotes also landed a program best and league-high 4 players on the all-conference team. Crittenbrink earned that distinction for the 4th straight year after finishing 3rd in the league in total kills and total points, and finishing 4th in kills per set. Fellow senior Melissa Furtko led the league in total blocks and block assists during conference play. Junior Sydney Dimke recorded the league's 6th best hitting percentage, while freshman Brittany Jessen was 2nd in assists per set and total assists in Summit League play. She was also named to the all-freshman team. So congratulations to Leanne Williamson and the USD volleyball team on a fantastic season. The USD basketball teams tipped off their respective campaigns a couple of weeks ago. We'll wrap things up with an early season update next.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by BillionAuto.com.
And welcome back. Well, with the fall sports season now complete, it's officially time to transition to hoops. The USD women, led by third-year head coach Amy Williams, returned 4 starters, including preseason All-Summit League performers Nicole Seekamp, Rachelle Contreras, and Taya Heemiller from the team that captured the program's first Summit League tournament championship in March. The Coyotes were picked 2nd behind South Dakota State in the conference's preseason poll. The non-conference season is already in full swing. USD split its first 4 games on the road, winning at Drake and Portland State before tipping off the home portion of its schedule against UC Irvine on Monday. They'll be at Marquette this coming Sunday before returning to the Dome to start a 5-game homestand against UNI. You'll have several chances to catch the Coyote women on Midco SN this winter. We've got them for 5 regular season broadcasts, starting with the December 21st showdown with defending Big Sky champion North Dakota. We've also, of course, got the Summit League matchups against NDSU, Fort Wayne, Western Illinois, and SDSU. The Coyote men, meanwhile, will have a very different look this season, and it starts at the top with first-year head coach Craig Smith. As far as the roster, USD returns 6 players, including preseason All-Summit League selection Brandon Boss, that started at least 1 game last season, but just about everyone else is in their first year with the program. All that change is one of the reasons the Coyotes were picked 8th in the Summit League. But judging by the effort we're seeing in the non-conference season, it seems plausible to expect better than that. While the Coyotes don't have a win to show for it, they're competing each and every night out. They hung tough at Stanford before dropping 3 close ones at the Fairfield tournament in Bridgeport, Connecticut over the weekend. 2 of those games went to overtime. Our live coverage of Coyote men's basketball gets underway with December 13th matchup against UNLV at the Pentagon in Sioux Falls. We've also got home games against Montana State, NDSU, Fort Wayne, Western Illinois, Denver, and South Dakota State. So lots of Coyote hoops coming your way this winter here on Midco Sports Network. For now, be sure to check out MidcoSN.com and the Coyote Corner video blog. Alex Heinert and I will put the finishing touches on our coverage of the 2014 football season with a post on Wednesday. All right, that is our time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks for another episode of Coyote Corner.